Wait, stop. That's the one. Welcome to ZEN TENN Speaks, a show where I make new friends and reconnect with old ones. A show where everyone's stories may inspire you to tell your own story. In this podcast, we encourage everyone to get rid of shame, guilt, fear, doubt, and judgments for themselves and for others, and replace those with love, empathy, compassion, understanding, kindness, and to do your best in everything that you do. In essence, to get rid of things that no longer serve your well being, to be true to yourself and be honest with others.
Ever since living a weird kind of life. But
yeah, it's very courageous that you've gone for so long, and I'm like John Adams says, live free or die. When I heard that quote, like a good old Jehovah's Witness, stubborn, I'm very stubborn with that quote. That's one of the reasons to like, yeah, like you're saying your son, like I'm gonna die on that hill. Like if I decide something, especially if it's good for me, I'm good. I'm so stubborn about it. Like once I find out and I wanted to lead Jehovah's Witness, I just left and never came back. I actually went to a memorial one time because my mom kept begging me. And then that time I only did it because like I bought a nice white suit and I had nowhere to go. But I was just like, oh, I can be angelical. So I had white suit, white shoes, white everything. And I went in there. But even then they're like, what is that about? So I went there because I felt cute and I wanted to show off whatever. But I didn't go up. You know, in every memorial, they have to invite you. That's the only time she wants to talk to me, because then you might come back to Jehovah.
Right.
But yeah, I never cared to come back because I was like, I know it's not for me. I know I'm like you were saying in the beginning, I'm joyous, I'm happy, I'm at peace. Why would I make myself a disservice to go back? When they say go back to Jehovah, they're talking about them. Come back to us so we can talk to you, so we can be allowed to talk to you. So why would I go back to talk to you when I know you don't truly love me and I know you're fake? If we hang out, we're not hanging out because you love me. We're hanging out because you're doing it based on somebody else's. So therefore, no, it's doing myself a disservice. So I'm after 20 years,
you lost all sorts of friends, as I did. You know, when you leave, like how many friends did you lose? Not just family.
Yep. Well, the funny thing is too, I feel like, and it's something that I've taken on in my worldly life, I feel that I'm very genuine and I seek out other genuine people. If someone is not genuine, if we meet like at work or at school, then you'll be my school friend or my work friend. I will not take you outside of school or outside of work. But if I meet you outside of work and school, you need to be genuine. And if you're not, we're just not friends, period. If that makes sense, because like if we're at work, when I go back to work, I have to talk to you. So that's fine. But if I didn't meet at any of those places and you're a fake person, I'm doing myself a disservice hanging out with you.
I think that we've learned to detect that with people.
Yeah.
You know,
because there's no point.
Because we know that time is short. And, you know, we know, I think, from how we were raised, and like you said, you know, they're only there for you. I mean, I could literally call up my friends and say, I'm coming back. And they'd be like, I'd have friends going, yeah, 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 yeah. But where were they? They're not here when I was going through hard times or whatever. And so I think with Jehovah's Witnesses that leave, they can pick up on what's it called? Sincerity.
Yeah.
Like you said, genuine, and like I have a friend that I'm with now, and I watch her kids and stuff, and she tells me she loves me all the time, and it's hard for me to say I love you back, but she's genuine. And I told her, I said, I'm sorry, I don't say I love you back because I'm still learning that people are good. There are good people. And she's a good person. So I got her for Christmas a little keychain that had the little swirly, the eternity symbol, and said, I love you, I win. Because I told her, I said, I can't always say I love you. And that's, I want to say I love you, but I mean, that just comes natural with her because she hasn't had anybody that, wasn't kind. And I mean, she's had, not nice people in her life, but she hasn't had, you know what I mean? Right. And, every time I hang up with her or talk to her, she's like, I love you. Goodbye. I love you. And I'm always feel bad. And I told her, I said, I hope you don't feel bad that I don't say I love you back. I mean, I want to, but it's hard for me because I love you means hurt. Yeah. Because I love you. My mom can say I love you, but she doesn't. Yeah. She loves Jehovah. And that's how I associate love. And I don't, and my husband always tells me first that he loves me, and I am trying so hard to tell him I love him first, but it's super hard because I love you sometimes it comes with something more. Right. I don't know what that more is, I'm trying to figure it out, and because I am a very compassionate person. My heart always gets me in trouble. And I love people. I want to help people. But the words I love you are so hard to say. Yeah. I don't know what it is, because in my heart, I love my friend. I love her to death. I love her kids. I watch them every day. That's my job. I'm their nanny. And I love you comes off her so easily. And I really want that to be me, that I can just say, I love you. And I'm trying, and I told her, I said, I just want you to know that I love you so much and I appreciate you as a friend. It just sometimes I can't. And she gets it. Yeah. And do you find that with yourself? Like saying I love you? Or
well, one thing that I do secretly is
this way?
Repeat that last part.
Do you keep people like a little bit this way? Like you have a bubble?
Yeah. Did we learn that in the religion, you feel? Because you're not the first person who said that I heard that from. So it must have been a Jehovah's Witness thing. Why are we afraid to say we love? Because I remember when I used to say, I would call my dad, I had to call him by his last name or call him sir. And when I would say daddy, when I would say daddy or say I love you when I hugged him, my Bathsheba mother she would, one time I think when the priesthood thing was happening with Catholics, she was saying that don't let him hug you because he's going to accuse you of molesting him. Don't say you love him. You're going to make him gay. Don't let him hug you. That's going to make him gay and things like that. But I could say I love her, but then later on, I wasn't even allowed to go shopping with her anymore because she was being accused that if a boy hang out with the mother too long, he's gonna become gay. Because at some point, I didn't, because I left at 19 and a half, but it's like once you're 18, once you're baptized, you're supposed to have a girlfriend and start courting women,
Right.
whatever. And I wasn't doing all of this stuff.
Right.
I wasn't doing all of this stuff. It wasn't because of sexuality. I told you, I didn't even know what masturbation was until I was 20. So how the hell would I know what courting is? Like, what the hell? They don't teach you none of this stuff. But then they want to call you gay. And I don't even know what gay is. I just heard gay is a bad thing, but I don't know what that bad thing is. And so,
well, I lived in San Francisco. I knew what gay was. I lived in San Francisco. I grew up there. I knew what gay was.
Oh, you saw them like run away.
Yeah, right. And well, we had a gay guy that, oh my God, poor man. God bless him. Poor, oh my God. I don't even know where he's at, but I hope he's okay. But he was gayer than a gay could be. Flaming
then a gay parade.
Oh yeah. And this poor man somehow, somebody got to him and he became a Jehovah's Witness, got baptized. He was always wearing purple socks and flaming suits, and we were just like, okay. And he decided that he was anointed. And we were like, what? Like within a year from being gay, like a flaming homosexual.
Wow,
in 1 year.
He played them.
He's anointed. And he was like,
because when you're anointed, you can have a wife, right? Or something like that.
Well, you can, but I mean, you can. And oh my God, don't even talk to me about the trauma that comes with a child that has a parents that decide that they're anointed. Because I had a friend that both her parents decided that they were anointed, and she was like totally traumatized that she was never going to see them in the paradise, because that's what she grew up with, right? That she's going to be in paradise, but her parents are not going to be with her. They died and they're going to be in heaven and not without them. And so she was like kind of fucked up there for a bit. But yeah, this flaming homosexual, I mean, we're talking the 80s, right? Like AIDS, everything. And I don't know if maybe he thought that this is what he needed to do to be saved. I don't know. But this man, oh my God, he came into the congregation, and me and my friend would be like, he's got purple socks. And he was so gay, and he decided a year later that he was anointed. And we were like, what? And then I have come to the conclusion that people that decide that they're anointed are a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah.
Because every anointed person I have ever met is crazy, batshit crazy.
Yeah, totally. Makes sense.
I mean, I've never met a normal person that was just like, like my mom, I could see her saying she's anointed. She's not crazy, but every person that I have ever met that has said that they're anointed, crazy as F.
Yeah.
Like, how do you be gay and then 1 year later anointed?
But he got saved by the blood of Jesus.
Oh my God. I don't know. I mean, this dog has more chance of being anointed than that guy did.
I have a question for you. So you say you went to church, or you go to church?
I go to okay, so I go to a church here in town that's kind of like nobody cares who you are, what you are, whatever you are.
Mhm.
And I don't know, sometimes I feel like I don't know, it's always emotional when I go though,
Is it because of Jehovah's
because
Witness emotional?
yeah, I mean, and then they start like praying and singing and I don't know. I get kind of emotional when I go there. I mean, they're
Why did
very
you
nice
go to
people.
church?
Huh?
What made you go to church?
I think it's that connection with people, you know.
Hmm.
I don't go all the time, but every so often I get I'll go to church.
Yeah.
And but it is kind of, and I have a couple friends that I'm close to that go to that church, and they're always inviting me. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. And my friend, she wants to get involved in a church, and I'm like, well, if you're gonna get involved in a church, do this church because they don't preach to you. I mean, they preach, but they don't like, you know what I mean? They don't make you feel guilty. They're just
Right.
talking
They
good.
don't make you feel like
It's
shit
mostly
for being
singing.
there, basically.
Huh?
They don't make you feel like shit for being there. Like Jehovah's Witness
Exactly.
says, like,
They're just
you're wrong,
happy,
you're wrong, you're
and they're
sinful,
just
you're
happy
sinful.
people. Exactly. They're just happy people. And they're like, it's a community thing. I live in a small town. So a lot of people go here. And so we all know each other. And it's kind of a community thing. And
Yeah.
so that's mostly it. And they help so many people. And I don't know. It's just something I do every so often. I don't necessarily believe in it, but I do get emotional sometimes
Yeah.
because it's like I don't know what it is. So sometimes I don't understand why I'm getting so emotional at this church, but they have a band. Like there's a drummer, a guitar player. I mean, and they serve coffee in the morning when you go. So I don't know, and they help out the community so much. I mean, like I used to volunteer last summer when COVID was happening, and they fed people for free. Like you could pick up a dinner no matter how many people were in. Jehovah's Witnesses weren't doing that.
Yeah.
Like during COVID,
They
these
always
people
lie
were like,
too when the kind of something happened. They said Jehovah's Witnesses did this for their community. I
no,
always
they
read
didn't.
it in the Watchtower, but I never seen it. Right?
Right. So, yeah. So when COVID hit this church and I was helping out, passing out dinners, no matter who you are, did not matter what you were or who you were, if you were, it didn't matter. If you wanted a dinner for your family of 10 or 3 or 2 or whatever, they fed you. And I helped cook meals and I served meals. And I was like, this is kind of cool. And I'm like, Jehovah's Witnesses don't do this shit. This is my community. This is people, at the time, people weren't able to get out, you know, and we served a whole bunch of old people and Meals on Wheels and help people. And, I was healthy and I was like serving, I went and got toilet paper for people and, I was helping this church out and they do so much for this community. But do I see Jehovah's Witnesses doing anything? Nope.
Yeah.
So,
Sure, yeah.
so that's I don't go often, but every so often I go. Come here, little bud. Um, so, I go every so often. I have a friend, my friend that I babysit her kids. She's like, she believes in God. And I'm like, okay. And I'll take her and um that's about it. I mean, I don't even know. I told her, she's like, don't you believe in God? I'm like, I don't even know who to pray to. Like, people say pray, and I'm like, who do I pray to?
Hmm. Do you know
How
that group on Facebook called Religion Rehab Rise from Religious Trauma?
I have not.
I can send you the link. I didn't know religious trauma until actually last year. And then when you mentioning it, you just reminded me of that. I I don't think I have religious trauma because I left so young and not many things
Yeah,
happened to me. But I
right.
know my siblings, since they're older, things happen to them. And as you were mentioning, has your husband kick out your son? For some reason, like my mother did that too. Like as soon as the kids turn, I think 16 or 17, because in the state, that's when you're kind of an adult kind of ish. As soon as they turn 16, they got kicked out. And I've noticed when my sister, she got pregnant at 16, she got kicked
Mhm.
out being homeless, pregnant. And I was like, that's not loving. Because I'm like, even if you love Jehovah, wouldn't you want to keep your daughter in the truth to try to keep steering her in the truth instead of tossing her to the rules? So when I saw these things, as soon as I turned, actually, I tried to commit suicide first. That didn't work. And I told my guidance counselor, and then she told me, instead of trying to commit suicide, save your money. She's like, are you working? I was like, yeah. She's like, save your money and then you can move out. So it was so unbearable that I tried to run away. Because one time I had like two backpack with me in school, and I was like, oh, this is my last. I'm gonna come back to school, but then I run away. And she's like, no, don't do that either. She's like, just get a place. So back then, 20 years ago, I found a little room for $400, which was a godsend because that's all the money I had. And then I moved out. And since then, I'm glad that trying to commit suicide didn't work. And I'm glad that running away didn't work because I didn't know anything about the world. So running away would mean that I'll be homeless. And then I'm glad that
Yeah.
she actually cared. She was a worldly evil person who actually cared for my life.
Well, that's
So
who
yeah.
cared for my son. When when so when Cody left, he was 18, and um I wasn't for it. My first husband was, the elders were, my mom was, everybody was like so loving. Let's just kick your child out to the curb. And I, being brainwashed, I thought, okay, that's what I got to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's horrible. I have so much guilt, and he's forgiven me. Me and him have a great relationship. And I mean, it took me a long time to forgive myself for doing that to him. Like,
Yeah.
how does a mother keep their child out? And thank God that he had somebody that took him in.
Mm-hmm.
It was a high school friend, and these parents were wonderful parents, and they took him in and saw, and that's a guilt that I have, and I've had to get over it. And you know that's something that people don't talk about, is parent guilt. When you have a child that decides, I mean, he said at 15, I'm done with this, mom. This is fucked up. I mean, he literally was like, mom, this is fucked up religion. And I'm like, well, the whole mentality. And he was like not coming to meetings, and we were dragging him, and the elders were like, you just need, and my mom was like, you just need to drag him to the meetings. I'm like, you know what? I told one of the elders, sat down, and we actually had a elders meeting about it. And they were like, you needed to bring Cody to the meetings. You can't just let him stay home. And I got kind of sassy, and I was like, you know what? When it's time for a meeting, you come drag a 16-year-old's ass out of his bed, out of his room, and drag him to the meetings. If you can do that, then go for it.
Well, yeah.
Because you can't. I mean, he's a human being, and there's no way. And we drug him to one convention, and that was the last convention we ever had. It was horrible. It was miserable. My youngest son was like, Mom, why is he so bad? And, and we're like, my husband was like, jabbing him in the arm, keeping him awake. He's like, I don't want to deal with this shit. Which, I understood that later on. And, so there's like a guilt there. If any parent has ever done that to their kid, I didn't want to. I was super against it. But, being the head of the household, my husband had more authority, and he kicked his ass out at 18. Like, the dude had a backpack, and my husband kicked him out. And how is that loving? How is that godly when you kick your child out on the street? And thank God that he had a friend from high school, and the parents were better parents than we ever thought to be, and took him in.
Right.
And me and him are super close, and he's forgiven me, but he hasn't forgiven his dad, because his dad doesn't give a shit about him.
It's like the mentality has a dad that cheated on you twice and done so many terrible things. The audacity to kick someone out for not going to a meeting. That's crazy.
He was way smarter than I was. He realized at a very young age that this was messed up,
Yeah, this young generation. I'm glad I was somewhat part of it in 2000. That the stories, like, I hear, like, this guy is like in his 60s and left at 55 years old, being raised in there. I just cannot imagine that. And of course I'm glad he's out, but it's like, I've noticed a lot, like a lot of young people, they see stuff and then they like, oh, I can't deal with this. And then they fight and they leave. And I've seen a lot of the old people, like you were talking with our parents. It seems like something has to forcibly kick them out for them to be out, but not in their own willing, because they know a lot of stuff happening. Like the guy I was talking to, he saw a lot of stuff, but he stayed in because, that's what he's taught to believe since he was raised in it. And until
that's what you're used to.
Yeah, until he's forced out, then he's like, okay, so be it. And so that's tough. Like, I get it psychologically, because we do that at work. We have this shitty job we do, we hate, and not until 2020 kick us out. And that's when we were like, oh, I'm glad this job is done.
Well, I just quit my job because of that shit. Because they were paying me $12 an hour and causing me so much stress every morning. I mean, it was a fucking taco shop, and they were like $12 an hour. They're so anal, no pun intended. And they're just like, they're really nice people. They're nice. I love them as a human, but oh my God, they're like 3 people. They can't keep people, and there's a reason. And I up and like something happened. I'm like, they left me alone, and it was a busy day, and I stayed till 10 o'clock, and they were like, why are you there till 10? And I'm like, well, I'm trying to get this and this and this. And he left me alone and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, I don't understand what's happening. And I'm like, you know what? Bye. I'm done. I blocked them. I quit. And it's like, what's scary is like what I told my husband is like, I find it weird that I can just like I can totally disassociate myself. Like if somebody did me wrong, I'm like, bye.
Oh my God, it's something we learn because I do the same thing. But
If you're toxic in my life, I'm bye.
But the thing, I don't know about you though. I'm very
like,
patient.
Me too.
I feel like it's something totally we learn. We're very like that scripture or that song that we learn to be patient, overbearingly patient. But when people get to that last patient, when we cut them off, it's warranted. I feel it's warranted. Yeah.
No, I mean I feel like I burnt a lot of bridges because people just use me because we're like that. I mean, I am a very kind and giving person. And like, oh my God, I had a friend not too long ago, and she's like super long story. She's just super exacting. Like everything is about her and her mental illness and she's got a lot of health problems. And I always try to do like, I was like, my husband was like, why are you doing this to her? Why is you letting her use you? I'm like, I don't care. She's got this, and this, and this. And I can only take so much. And then, so one time she was gone and she had her mail, and I didn't take her mail in. I didn't put it in the right spot. I just, and I gave it to her, and she was like, why didn't you do what I said? And I'm like, well, I didn't have time, and I did this. And she was like, and then she just laid into me, and I'm like, okay, bitch, bye, motherfucker. I don't need this shit. And that's how I am. And like, I will do and do and do, and I will like lay down on the cross for you. And then you, all of a sudden, you push me. I mean, like my husband calls it a what's it called? What's the word? A sucker. Like I suck in people, and I take in people, and I take in people, and I do and I do and I do until I can't do anymore. And then the 1 second I push back and say, you know what, I need this, they lay into me, and I'm like, and then next thing I know, I'm like, fuck you, bye, block. And
because it's warranted, because I've noticed this thing about psychologically with humans. I have 4 roommates here, and today I had to send one of my roommates a text that I don't actually like texting, but I had to do it because I feel like when you're a bitch, people respect you. I kiss, I hug, I send love, I say please and thank you. How can I help us fix this? How can I help you with the littlest thing? They treat me like shit. But when I said, you're gonna be doing this, or you're out of this house, or you're gonna be doing this, or I'm gonna charge you fees, all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. And they're like bowing and they're saying thank you. But then I'm a bitch. It's like people want you to be that boss. People want you to be that bitch boss. And I'm like, that's not who I am. I don't need to be that. I'm a sweet person. Why do you need me to be a bitch for you to respect me? And then when I'm the nice person, you take, it's the same way. I've blocked people that I thought were my friends, people I wanted to be friends with, exactly the same thing. And I feel that when I block them so easily, and I feel like it comes from a being Jehovah's Witness where we can like block people and we have no conscience about it. But I think the difference is, at least for me, I did my best 100%. And then
Exactly.
as for them, they were just users. So therefore, when it came to time to block them, they became nothing to me because they weren't giving anything to me. I gave them all
Mm.
and they give me nothing. So therefore, when they got blocked, they were a user that got blocked. It wasn't like a friend that got blocked because I don't block my friends. People that I care for, if I bring up something to them, what happens is we talk about it or they quickly apologize. They don't have ego enough to argue. They're like, oh my God, thank you for bringing that up to me. I'm so sorry I did you wrong. And then it's over and then it's fixed. But those users, they will lie in your face. They'll argue even when they know they're wrong. Like I had users, I showed them text messages, blah, 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 blah. And then after they read it, they go, oh, you know what they do? Still have an excuse for it. So why should I have you in my life? I just block them.
But oh my God. So
Yeah.
last Halloween, not this Halloween, but the year before, I had a friend that brought over a child in a Halloween costume as Hitler.
The hell?
Hitler. Yeah. And I'm like, me and her were like a good friend for like a year. And she brought over this child dressed as Hitler. Like, I mean, he came through my door going, hey. I'm like, what the fuck? And he was dressed in like the mustache, the everything. Like this was a costume that was thought out and planned out. And my kids are, so my husband is half Hebrew, so my kids are part Jewish. Not only that, but I think with Jehovah's Witnesses we have a connection with Jewish
Yeah.
people, being
And
that
that's like a thing not to do
anyway.
if you're Jewish. It's like, what the hell?
But
That's
I mean,
crazy.
you don't even have to have that. Who dresses their kid as fucking Hitler? And I'm like, came to my door, and I'm like, I don't even know how to. My brain was like, I don't even know how, because he was like, and I'm like, the fuck. So, did the candy, didn't want to embarrass the other kids, and I texted her, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you sending a child dressed as Hitler to my door? And she's like, well, it's just a costume, the devil, same thing. I'm like, no, it's not the same thing. And I'm like, okay, bye. And, I really liked her, but yeah, you hit a certain spot in me. I mean, because I put up with a lot of crap.
Yeah.
And I'm mostly I'm usually being used, but at some point it comes to, like you said, it comes to a head and you're like, fuck no. Done. And
Rent up your patience.
it's scary. It's kind of scary that I can just be like,
I'm fine with that. Like people are not okay with that, but I'm fine with it because I've given. When you give so much chances, what else? You know what's gonna happen that I've saw people that I've blocked, and then I give them chances. They go back treating me like shit again, and then psychologically, people do not respect a sucker. Okay, so this is why they disrespect you. That's why they disrespect me because for some reason anyone who does anything, like let's say someone buy me a piece of candy, I will worship you because I know you doing that for me or to me, you didn't have to, and you did it from the bottom of your heart. This is why I'll be so grateful and worship you. While other people, you literally wipe their ass when they have no hands, and they'll take that hand and smack you with it. Right? And I'm just mind blowing. And I had people, and it's not nice, but I do it. Like people who used to live here, when they leave their shit behind, or when they leave their mail, or someone came by for them, whatever, as soon as they leave, I fucking block them. Well, most of them, not a lot of them. Because yeah,
I'm still stuck on this
because I
shit.
don't care. I mean, you know, I'm like, you left this
I'm
house.
still stuck on
No,
this shit that can't.
yeah. I'm no longer obligated to you as soon as you leave, because when you lived here, I had people who live here, they never opened the mailbox. And I know it sounds like a small thing, but they never opened the mailbox. The minute they didn't get a mail, they're like, hey Zen, did you see my mail? The key's on the fucking wall. Why am I your mailman? And then I go out. You know what? If I don't check the mail, I will not get on my own mail. So I get the mail, and I could have left the mail, their mail outside, but I'm nice. I don't. I bring it in. But the minute I'm home, like when I was sick, I didn't check the mail. Text message, hey, have you seen mail? Bitch, I got COVID. I'm in bed with COVID. Like, are you, what the hell? People are crazy.
I'm still stuck on this shit that. What did you say? The shit that hand? What did you say?
Oh, that just came out. I don't even know.
The shit, the hand that shit.
Oh, I think
I'm dying. That was all. Yeah,
my mom used to be she used to be the, I think, nurse's aide, where she used to wipe older people's asses, and she would come home complaining a lot, and she was anyway, it was funny, not funny, but like it was interesting to see how Jehovah's Witness, not like, of course she was doing her job, but I'm sure she was like really unhappy. She was saying how she would wipe these people's asses, and then she's just doing it for the money, and those people who didn't care about her, because she would have old people smacking her, like
you
hold
need
on.
to rewind that. You record this and you need to rewind. That's a saying that needs to be on a mug or something. The shit that wipes the hand that's going to smack. I know. That's what I'm dead.
People do that.
I'm dead.
Oh, you just reminding me, you were asking about the love part. I just remember another part of Jehovah's Witness that I learned. Because of my parents, I couldn't say I love you, whatever. I've learned that someone has to say I love you first for me to be okay to say it. Because I didn't want to be the sucker who says it first, because people would use me. Yeah, so I think this is something I had to learn. I think this is I don't have an issue with it anymore, because I was in a relationship for like over 16 years. And that was an issue with the loving. I had to basically practice to say I love you, practice to actually, not that you didn't love, and I'm sure you love, it's just like the expression. And that for me is like you mentioned the word sucker. I didn't want to be that sucker who put my life on the line first, and then someone else goes use me, and then I feel stupid for it. And this is where I'm standing with that loving part. Like with new relationships, yeah, like I know people want to say it, and I just let them say it first. I don't know. It's such a game though, because when I've done it first, it's like I was that fool. I had people like rub me blind with shit. So, you just got to be careful. And people you sleep with, and then they stealing your shit and buying stuff with your credit card, But anyway,
no, I've had that same thing, and friendships and stuff, and I mean, it's weird because my dad, my mom too. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know what happened. My sister's very huggy, my brother's very huggy, my other brother's very huggy, my mom's huggy. I just am not. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. And I mean, I can hug if I trust you. I am so about hugs. I love hugs. But there's something about I know, I feel like sometimes people waste an I love you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Like,
This culture said to it's like everything. Same with I hate you. I had people like, yeah, I like to make people laugh. They'll laugh and then they say, oh, I hate you so much. And I'm like, why would you say that? And then they said, oh, I wasn't thinking about it. I just said it. And I was just like, why would you say someone you hate them? Like, we're laughing.
right?
And I think it's the same with the love. People just say things they don't mean. And I
Right.
think, yeah.
Right. And so my friend that my friend that I babysit her kids for, that's my job. I'm their nanny. Like every time we hang up, it's I love you. And I'm just like, okay, is that a goodbye? I mean, that's her goodbye, is I love her. I love you. And I get that. That's fine. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just I can't always, and I told her that I can't always say I love you back because that's just not my goodbye.
Yeah.
But her goodbye is literally I love you. And I'm just like, oh, oh. And the thing is my mom was actually a very genuine, how you say it, genuine. My mom was a very genuine person. My mom always helped out anybody that was in need. If there was somebody that needed something, my mom, she took in children, she helped people. She was actually one of those that was actually a very genuine person. She wasn't love bombing them. She was genuine in love with these people and trying to help. And I'm that same way. I'm exactly that way to my fault, where I get myself in debt and I let people borrow money and use me, and but my mom, she was very much that way, and she still is. She'd give her shirt off her back. And the thing that I guess is what's hurtful is knowing that my mom would do anything for a stranger that came into the Kingdom Hall or Zoom meeting or whatever. Would be, if they needed something, my mom would be there for them. My mom was and always will be the kindest person. And I try to follow her example. What hurts is that I'm not that to her.
Yeah.
That's what hurts. And my mom, I will never disrespect my mom in saying that she's like your typical Jehovah's Witness, because she's not, because she actually does help people. She has given time and money and effort to help people, and where no one else will, she's paid for people's cars to be fixed. She's gotten clothes, and she actually does something that many Jehovah's Witnesses don't do. And she's always been that way. And I have led by her example. The hurtful thing that hurts me is that she won't see me. I won't see my mom ever again. And that's what hurts.
Mm-hmm.
She will die, and I'll be hopefully invited to her funeral. I don't know. And so that's where Jehovah's Witnesses, just, I don't get them. That's, I can have my mom being this person who's like this wonderful human being and believe in this philosophy of shunning your children, and that's,
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today and being vulnerable. And you also are very courageous and strong through all this ordeal, and you're learning and you're growing. And thank you for sharing all of that with us today. Yeah.
Same here. Keep in touch.
Yes, certainly. I'm glad we got back in
Yeah.
touch together. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can always you text me if you ever want to chat again. We'll talk. Just
Yes,
for
certainly.
friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I actually appreciate that a lot. Thank you. As of last year, I've noticed that, I guess because I've been there, we've been very close. And as you mentioned, if I was keeping people in distance and I had a bubble, and I had to see all of these things in 2020, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna start going out and meet people, and I actually joined the. I don't go anymore, but I did join the Mormon church, so I could go and do something new and learn new people because they were preaching me, and I was like,
Yeah,
sure, let me learn something. But I didn't go to actually
exactly.
join, but I went to learn, and then when I went there, it was so similar, not similar to Jehovah's Witness, but I guess it was. What was similar that I didn't like is I didn't feel like it was genuine, because when I was there, people want me to have an agenda, and people want me to meet
Yeah.
their agenda and to sit with them with that agenda. But when I went to
Yeah.
Catholic church or Baptist church with other people who wanted me to join them, people were happy to see me. I feel like the smiles were nice. They invited me to eat with
Right.
them. They didn't even know me. And we talked about everything with be beside church. But with the
Yeah.
Mormons, it was like baptism, church, Joseph Smith, Book of
Yeah.
Mormon. It was felt like the same with Jehovah's Witness. So I stopped going. And when the guys asked me, my big excuse was sexuality, and I did that so they can stop pestering me, because I know if I didn't mention sexuality, they would try to convince me to come in. They would be like, okay, we can get over this, let's keep doing it, whatever. But I feel like if I mention
So are
sexuality,
you
that
gay?
could be a, I'm labeled as gay, but I don't, that's not my identity. Sure, I am gay.
Yeah.
I guess I'll say I am gay, but it's not my identity, if that makes sense.
No, totally. Same here. I'm bi.
Yeah, I don't go around the world and I don't wake up and be like, oh, I'm a gay man.
Right.
I mean, yeah,
Neither do
but I
I.
know
I
a
don't
lot of
wake up and
people
like, I'm a
do.
bi woman.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, but a
Exactly.
lot of people, that's their identity. They wake up and being gay is who they are, or some people being black is who they are, or whatever, or their ethnicity. I'm just someone who's trying to eat a meal for the day and have a roof over my head,
Right.
kind of
What is
thing.
your language? What is your natural language?
So I was born in Haiti, and they speak French and Creole there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I used to live in
Yeah.
Louisiana, so that's why your accent seems so familiar to me.
Is that a real thing in Louisiana? I feel like I don't know much, but what I'm feeling about Louisiana is a lot of people, because people like to be different. Just like in
Right.
St. Patty's Day, all of a sudden everyone's in Irish, you know? So I feel
Right.
like in Louisiana, people tend to talk about French stuff, but they have, because they just want to be different or be seems different. Is that a,
Right. No. So I
what
used to live in Louisiana. I lived in New Orleans when I was probably 11. So we're going back, some years. And your accent is very much like what I grew up there when I was there.
oh,
It's a
okay.
French Creole.
I've only went one time
And
for
and,
Mardi Gras.
and some, oh my God, some you can't even, so when I was a Jehovah's Witness there, they were segregated still, like black and white. And my
Uh-huh.
mom, so we came from San Francisco to Louisiana, and there was actually a segregation. Like we went to a white Kingdom Hall, and blacks, Creole, anybody of color went to a different Kingdom Hall. And
Uh-huh.
my mom was like, I have to say this about my mom. My mom was like, what the fuck? I mean, she didn't say that, but she was like, this is not right. What the hell? We're supposed to be united. She was kind of newly in, and she was taught that Jehovah's Witnesses are all one religion and no color, blah, blah, blah. And so we moved there, and we literally were in a white Kingdom Hall, and there was a black Kingdom Hall. And my mom was like, what the hell? I remember her being so upset, and she was like telling my dad, I don't understand. Why are we in a white congregation? Why? And she didn't understand. And so finally, at some point, I don't know, maybe she bugged the elders about it or something. But then we ended up going to so they segregated. I mean, this was like in 1979. So that's not that long ago that Jehovah's Witnesses were segregated. So that's kind of fucked up.
With Mormons. Same with Mormons around that time.
Yeah. So my mom, coming from San Francisco, and us, she was super upset. And I don't know what happened, but next thing I knew, we were like going into the bayou. I mean, like we had to turn our lights off because people were, like, I guess, upset that white and black people were meeting. And my dad was like kind of concerned, but he was like, okay. But that Kingdom Hall was like literally a shack in the bayou. And it was like black people and white people. And my mom was happy. We were happy. But some of those accents from the Creole, the French, like they might as well have been they were speaking English, but not. So it's a real thing. That's why I was like wondering about what your accent was, because that's what I grew up with for 3 years, was a Creole French Louisiana accent. I mean, we're talking, wow, their accents are off the hook.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
is that when I went from Mardi Gras, everyone who lived there was not, Mardi Gras, like everyone is a visitor. So.
Oh, that was the Demon's Day. That was the Demon's Day. I had a neighbor that brought home some beads, and my mom was like, where are these come from?
Beads. Jerry beads.
Beads.
I want my Jerry beads.
Yeah. Well, what's funny was when I first started going to school there, it was like grits, black-eyed peas, and it was around the time of Mardi Gras. And guess who found the baby Jesus?
You?
In the king cake. And I was like, that's not what? I brought it home. My mom was like, oh, no. I brought demons in the house. But yeah, of course, the one Jehovah's Witness child finding the baby Jesus in the king cake. But yeah, so that's why I asked about your accent, because it seemed familiar.
Yeah.
But it is true. They really do have, it's super thick.
Yeah.
To where it's like I can totally understand you, but you get down in the bayou and oh lordy.
Well, even in the South thing too, like people in Mississippi I've spoken to, and I'm like, what? What are you saying? Especially when they talk so fast, and I'm like, ah. All right, well, this is all the time we have today. Thank you so much for chatting so much with me today. I appreciate you. You are very sweet too, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can always text me if you need anything. Thank you.
Yes,
it was good meeting you.
Yeah, you too. I will keep you posted. Yeah,
it's nice meeting you.
You too.
And you can always text me.
Yes, will do.
Thank you.
I'm also here as well. Thank you so much, Kelly. Have a good one.
Feel better.
Yeah.
Feel better.
Thank you so much. Yes. Bye.
Bye.